All right, so it's 7 o'clock on Monday, May 3rd, 2021, and I'll call the meeting to order for our Adelaide Metcalfe Council meeting. Is there any declaration of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof from members of council? Okay, seeing none. And I will just note that if you're watching on YouTube right now, you won't see Councillor Clark's video on there. It's just the internet service at her place is not good enough to sustain the video there. So she is here. You'll be able to hear her when she moves and seconds things and asks any questions. And then that should be everything I think I have to note before the beginning of this meeting. Oh, the other thing I wanted to say, this is the first time for our council meeting to use eScribe compared to our previous agenda package. So hopefully everybody that was able to access it at home was able to get to all the documents and use it. Over the next several meetings, we'll be doing some more updates to make it a little more user-friendly for everyone, especially our council members. It's a very different system that we're used to. So I'm back to having some paper in front of me just to make sure that we can make the meeting run smoothly. So with that being said, we'll move into the minutes of our previous meeting, which is April 19th, 2021. If we have a mover and seconder for that. Okay, Councillor McKinnon, seconded by Deputy Mayor Hendricks. All those in favor?
Aye.
And that's carried. And we don't have any delegations or timed events for this meeting, so we'll move into correspondence. Our next regular meeting is May 17th, and that's our regular meeting, as well as in there we have our planning meeting and a drainage consideration meeting, and then June 7th, and then followed by June 21st. So our first item for correspondence is from Strathroy Caradoc, and it's a notice of open house and statutory public meeting, and that is for expanding their building, what is it called again? Settlement boundary review. And specifically in the Strathroy area, there's two that are close to Adelaide Metcalfe. The area 2 that's outlined on there, that was the former lands that were in Adelaide Metcalfe that behind the Powell property. So they're adding that into their, looking at adding that into their settlement boundary area. And then as well as area 3, that is the Strathmere Lodge lands. And those lands are being currently being sold by the County of Middlesex for development. So that would be why they're looking at that, to allow those lands to be developed. Item number 2 is from North Middlesex, and it's their CIP public notice. Next up is the recommended readings. Item number 3 is from Blue Water Recycling, and it's their 2020 annual report, as well as their April 2021 notes. Action required. Item number 4 is from Springwater, and it's a resolution regarding clean fuel standard. Councillor McKinnon.
Question through you, Mayor Curtis, to the members that are actually in the farming community on council. It talks about the Canadian, the clean fuel standards, and about setbacks from wetlands or waterways and woodlands. Have those setbacks been changed? Because there's always been setbacks there. So I just wondered, have they been increased, or could somebody on council answer that for me? And then the other comment I had was, it's too bad they hadn't have addressed it to Leanne Rude rather than Mr. Shipley.
Yeah. Is there any comments on that? I'm assuming you're directing that likely towards Councillor Brody or Deputy Mayor Hendricks.
Mm-hmm. Are they aware of any changes?
I don't know enough about this. I've heard a little bit of rumblings. As crazy as, if you cleared, somebody come up with the idea that if there was land that was cleared with a woodlot and you planted corn on there, they wanted that corn to be segregated because it wouldn't be as clean, and it's going to go to ethanol. It's I've heard a few rumblings, and it's crazy. Okay. It's not even feasible. It's not possible. It's nuts. But I don't honestly know enough about it. I haven't read up on it, but a few people on the corn board were talking about it, I guess.
Okay. Thanks, Mike.
Okay. Deputy Mayor Hendricks, did you have any additional comments on that one?
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of information on this yet in the farm press. I mean, there are all kinds of things around the carbon tax and I think this is involved in it, but I haven't had time to look more into what this bill is about. And I'm thinking, to Betty Ann's point, I'm thinking that this Mr. Shipley is probably, given that it's a Barrie address, it's probably the name of their MP up in Springwater. So,
Coincidence, that one, I guess, yeah.
yeah, but, and they've copied a bunch of MPPs, and I think this is a federal bill, so I think I'm gonna study this up a little more and see what this is about.
Okay.
Thanks, Marianne.
So what would we like to do with this one for council?
Just defer the discussion. I'll
Yeah,
move that.
Okay, so we'll defer. That's Deputy Mayor Hendricks, seconded by Councilor McKinnon. Any further discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
And that's carried. Okay, the next resolution there is from Fort Erie, and it's in regards to Phragmites. And this is one that I know there's been a lot of talk about Phragmites from a number of residents in Ally Metcalfe, and it's also been brought up at County Council as well. Any?
I have a question, Curtis.
Yep.
This is to Coulter. Is this an issue that you're having to deal with? I'm not that familiar with the issue, so.
Thank you, Councillor Clark. We have had a number of people reach out regarding these Phragmites, and it has been passed on to the county weed inspector. And I know they're dealing with a lot of issues, and they're trying to find best practice to get rid of these things. So right now, I know it's being talked about at higher levels on what to do. So I will stay tuned.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Is there any other questions or comments? Okay, Deputy Mayor Hendricks.
Yeah, I think given how quickly it's spreading, I think we can support this resolution. But I agree, we need to keep an eye on it. It's slowly moving from the 402 to the 81 down our road. I can just see a little bit more of it every year. It goes a little farther down the road. So it will eventually take over a lot of our ditches and bother our drainage.
Okay, so would you like to move that then for support?
Yep, I'll move to support that.
Okay,
I'll second Curtis.
Seconded by Councillor Clark. All those in favor?
Aye.
And that's carried. Another area that the Phragmites are really bad in our municipality is actually on Calvert Drive, between McDougall and Napier Road. That's a really bad area, and I know that the county is well aware of that one too. But yeah, it's popping up. Seems to be all over the place. The next item for action required and our last item for correspondence is a resolution regarding bus stops on dead-end roads. And as well, there's a number of correspondence to go along with that action item.
I think we should support it.
Okay. So would you like to move that, Councillor Clark, then?
Yes, I would. I'll move that.
Okay, seconded by Deputy Mayor Hendricks. Is there any discussion on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
And that's carried. Okay, so now we just have a motion to resolve that council receive and file correspondence items CC1 to 3. There we go. Councillor McKinnon and Councillor Brody, all those in favor?
Aye.
And that's carried. And then we don't have any committee minutes, so we'll move into our staff reports. And our first report is from our Public Works Manager, Coulter.
Thank you, Mayor Smith. My one report tonight is regarding tenders and quotes. Council approved the construction of new sidewalks along Center Road, west side, in the 2021 budget. The tender for the construction of new sidewalks was issued last month. Tender 03-2021 for the construction of new sidewalks was issued on Wednesday, April 14th and closed on Wednesday, April 28th. We received 3 qualifying bids. Tenders and quotes are issued in compliance with the township procurement policy. The successful bidder was Roebuck Contracting Limited for the construction of the sidewalks based on the lowest total price. The attachment is there with the results. Financial impact, the results from the tender 03-2021 will be incorporated into the 2021 budget where appropriate. Based on the bids received for the construction of the new sidewalks along Center Road, west side, we are under the engineer's budget amount of $210,000 by $99,585, pending a few provisional costs regarding the relocation of utility poles and guy wires. So that could vary from $5,000 to $15,000 or not at all. So that's not in the price. So resolve that council accept the tenders and quotes report as presented by the Public Works Manager. And second will be resolved that council approved the tender received by Roebuck Contracting Limited in the amount of $110,415 plus HST for the installation of new sidewalks along Center Road, west side.
Okay, thank you so much, Coulter. Is there any questions or comments at all from members of council?
have a
Deputy
question.
Hendricks?
Yeah, I see the contract expires on September 30th. Does that mean the work is expected to be done by then?
Yes, actually, the work is expected to start in about 2 to 3 weeks time. So there'll be a 2-week window. We should have it wrapped up by hopefully middle of June at the absolute latest. So they want to jump right on this. I think that's why the price came in so low, because they're looking for work here soon. They have a lot of jobs at the end of the year, but they want something ASAP. So they got after this one.
Great.
That's good to hear. Councillor Clark?
She asked the exact same questions I was gonna ask, so that's excellent, thank you.
Okay.
The ratepayers will be very excited.
Yeah. Councillor McKinnon, was that your question as well?
No, I was just going to make a comment to Coulter that it's appreciated that he gives us the budget number so we can see if we're over or under. So thank you, Coulter.
No
And
problem.
Debbie was chopping out on me, but if anybody who didn't catch that at home, she was appreciated to compare the budget numbers to what was coming into the tender. Okay, so we have the motion there, and that's to approve the tender. Mover and seconder. Okay, Councillor Brody and Deputy Mayor Hendricks. All those in favor,
Aye.
and that's carried. And Coulter, just wondering, how will the notice be delivered? Will that be like a letter sent out to those residents along there to let them know that the sidewalks will be installed in like a kind of a time frame of when it'll be done?
Yeah, the letter should go out the end of the week, Mayor Smith. We're just finishing things up and meeting with the contractor actually on Wednesday out there. So anybody affected will receive a letter in the mail.
Excellent. Okay, thank you, Coulter. And I think that's your last report there. Is there any questions at all for Coulter in the Public Works Department? Okay, seeing none. Moving to the next staff report, and that's from our Clerk Acting Treasurer, Jen.
Thanks, Mayor Smith. This is my one and only report tonight, and it's the accounts payable listing from April 15th to April 28th. So you'll note there that there are 2020 payables in the amount of $62,945.49, which is all legal to the County of Middlesex. The 2021 payables are in this amount of $63,033. There's 10 checks, $23,676.22, pre-authorized payment at $3,455.80 and EFTs of $36,488.50. So for the grand total, it's $125,945.82 that's being paid in that period.
Thank you, Jen. Is there any questions at all for the accounts? Deputy Mayor Hendricks?
Yeah, under the drain ledger accounts, the beaver dam removal, is that something we bill back to the landowners, or is it because it's on our drain? Or I'm just wondering how that works.
Walter, do you want to answer that from Public Works?
I'm not sure, actually, Councillor Marianne Hendricks.
So I can answer that. So because we had a request of a beaver dam, the township pays for that. We contact our individuals in the township that catch beavers or trap beavers, I guess the word is. So then we pay them to come in and take care of it.
Okay. I'm just wondering if that's normal. I've noticed a couple here, and it's not the O'Neill drain that's by me. I don't know where that drain is, but I'm just wondering if that's normal that the landowner pays it or if the township pays it.
Past practices here, the township has paid for it when it comes from a request from a ratepayer. We don't bill back through the Drainage Act on that.
Is there any other questions at all on the accounts? Seeing none, so we have the motion there to receive the invoice payment approval report and to approve the account listings. Mover and seconder, Councillor McKinnon and Councillor Brody. All those in favor?
Aye.
And that's carried. And then our next staff report is from Morgan, and that's the Kerwood Park washroom report.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you to council. So this is a report that Coulter and I put together. So Coulter, if there's anything that you feel important that I might miss, not to put you on the spot, but feel free to just throw your hand up in the air. But I believe council has been having the conversation of the Kerwood Park improvements before 2019, but as far back as I could go, I found that within 2019, council made the decision to consider Kerwood Park improvements. In late 2020, at the December 21st regular council meeting, the Kerwood Park project was brought back to council for discussion and consideration. During this meeting, council discussed and ultimately agreed on a two-phased approach, where the first phase of the Kerwood Park improvement project would be dedicated to the washroom and pavilion facility, and phase two would look at all the other park amenities, including things like the ball diamonds, dugouts, the playground, and so on and so forth. Of course, the big delay in this Kerwood Park project was because of the pandemic. We really had to focus our attention on the COVID-19 response. So ultimately, and the other point to note is in 2020, we also applied for a COVID IKIP grant of about $100,000. We still do not know whether we have secured those funds or not. So that's going against our project total, to be discussed later in the report. But really, we ended up finalizing the drawings with council in March of this year. We went out to tender. Spirits Associates were contracted to facilitate the tendering process following the township's procurement process and policy. Through this process, we got 5 bids. So that's really good. In the report, there are the 5 bids outlined there, and the lowest bid was SDI Builders at $464,500. Council might remember that we estimated that this portion of the project would be about $415,000. Through the last couple of years of budgeting processes, we've banked about $360,000. with that extra $100,000 potentially through the COVID IKIP fund. We would have $460,000 for this project, which would really put us in a variance before tax of about $4,500 or $4,600. We did circulate the project, including the site plan and the washroom drawings, to the chief building official, the planner, public works, drainage, and our accessibility coordinator, including the county engineer and fire chief. Their comments are summarized here. The reason why we went through an informal site plan process is because we really wanted to make sure that we were meeting all of the bylaws and legislative requirements of the township, including any corporate policies. Bless you, Sue.
Sorry, excuse me, I'll put myself on mute.
And the reason why I call it informal is because we can't really enter into an agreement with ourselves. We can just commit to doing it properly. So the summary of comments have been forwarded to Sprius Associates for their direction. The other thing to note through the building permit and the wastewater connection fees, the township will be responsible for its portion of these user pay fee schedules because these user pay fee schedules go towards things like asset management and replacement. So we want to make sure that we are limiting our impact on those fee systems. So in terms of the financial impact, as I said, we have about $360,000 in the bank, so to speak, today. We're waiting to hear on that $100,000 grant program from IKIP, which would put us at a total of about $460,000. The $8,000 in variance here is because of that $4,500 that we're over the budget, but also our portion of taxes included. So with that, Mr. Mayor, I would kindly ask council to accept the Kerwood Park Washroom Facility Report and to approve the tender received from STI Builders in the amount of $464,500.
Okay, thank you, Morgan. Is there any questions at all? Okay, seeing none. So we have the two motions there. The first one is to accept the report. Okay, Councilor McKinnon and Deputy Mayor Hendricks. All those in favor?
Aye.
And that's carried. And the next one there is to approve the tender. Mover and seconder. Councilor Brody, seconded by
I'll second that.
Councilor Clark. All those in favor?
Aye.
And that's carried. Excellent. And I think, Morgan, looking at the background there of, late 2019, council made a decision to consider. I think it's years before that, probably. We've been talking about that for some time around the council horseshoe. I don't know how many different councils have been sitting around there trying to figure it out, but I'm glad that the council that's sitting here today has made the steps forward to really make this happen and really improve the Kerwood Park there in the community. I think it'll be a great spot for everybody to get together at, future fish fry from the fire department or an Optimus Club event, whether that's the ball tournament or one of the community days that they've brought back into the community. So I think this is the right step, and I'm looking forward to once that's complete and then phase 2 in the following year. And I'm very excited to, finally get this going. I think everybody on the screen is very excited. So, alrighty. I'll try to go back to my agenda here. So that's it for our staff reports. Do we have anything for other business before we go into the closed session?
Mayor Smith.
Yeah, okay, we'll go with Councilor Clark and then Councilor Brody.
This is through the mayor to Morgan or Jen or whoever wants to speak to this. Is anybody able to give council an update as to where we're at with the employment land study?
Yeah, so through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councilor Clark, the employment land study is essentially in the hands of the consultant at this time. We just got a bunch of the information over to Stuart, who is the consultant. He was dealing with a bit of a backlog as there's a number of planning projects that are out there that are putting some pressure on his schedule. So it's well underway. The consultant has all of the material that I understand anyway, that he requires to get the employment land study completed.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Councilor Brody.
Yeah, through you, Curtis, I'd just like to go back to the park just for phase 2. hopefully we can have, you know, something very sooner than later going forward. So then, you know, because we have to have a plan. We don't want the park disrupted doing phase 2 through the middle of the summer. Either we want, you know, try to have it all set ahead of time so construction is done early and done, or being later, you know, not, you know, trying to find out March, April, then tenders, and then have it where it's middle of the summer. That wouldn't be very good.
That's an excellent point. Morgan, you'll throw that on your list of scheduling. Excellent. All right. Is there anything else for other business? Okay, seeing none. So the next section of our meeting is for a closed session. So council hold a closed session meeting as provided as per section 239(2) of the Municipal Act as amended, and that's 239(2)B, and that's personnel matters and about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. And specifically, this is for a human resource matter of an identifiable individual. So following the closed session, we'll come back live on YouTube for the Rise and Report, and then the bylaws, and then the adjournment. Oh, we need a motion for that. Can I have a mover and seconder? Deputy Mayor Hendricks and Councillor Brody. All those in favor?
Aye.
And carried. And